Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Vabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama-shloke Bhaktir-bhavati Naistiki Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri-gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya-manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa-kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna-preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 4, Satī quits her body. We are in the second section of this chapter, text 6 to 10, where Satī receives a very cold response from Daksha and she is going to become extremely angry at Daksha. We are at text 9. Arudrabhagam tamaveksha chadvaram pitra cha deve krutahelanam vibhau anadrita yajnasadesha ishwari chukopalokani vadhakshati rusha. Translation.
Present in the arena of sacrifice, Sati saw that there were no oblations for her husband, Lord Shiva. Next, she realized that not only had her father failed to invite Lord Shiva, but when he saw Lord Shiva's exalted wife, Daksha, did not receive her either. Thus, she became greatly angry, so much so that she looked at her father as if she were going to burn him with her eyes. Purport: by offering oblations in the fire while chanting the Vedic mantra Swaha, one offers respect to all the demigods, great sages, and pitas, including Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Vishnu. It is customary that Shiva is one of those who are offered respects. But Sati, while personally present in the arena, saw that Brahmanas did not utter the mantra offering oblations to Lord Shiva, Namas Shivaya Swaha. She was not sorry for herself, for she was ready to come to her father's house without being invited. But she wanted to see whether or not her husband was being respected. To see her relatives, her sisters, and mother was not so important. Even when she was received by her mother and sisters, she did not care, for she was most concerned that her husband was being insulted in the sacrifice. When she marked the insult, she became greatly angry, and she looked at her father so angrily that Daksha appeared to burn in her vision. Hare Krishna.
Arudrabhagam. There was no oblations offered to Lord Shiva in the sacrifice, and Shati saw that neither her father Pitracha Deve Krutahelanam Vibhav. Krutahelanam means contempt being showed towards Lord Shiva and even Sati. And this greatly angered Sati, and she began to look at Daksha. Chukopalokani va dhakshati risha. Risha means with great anger. She began to see as if she will burn down the 14 planetary system. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that whenever there is a mantra, there is a sacrifice, oblations are offered to all the great demigods, great sages, pitas, and the three guna deities, gunavataras, that is Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Vishnu. So it is very natural that Lord Shiva also receives a share of the sacrifice, right? But here in this case, Sati very categorically marked Brahmanas skipping the mantras for Lord Shiva, Namah Shivaya Swaha. And she realized that this is being insult on Lord Shiva. As far as her own condition, she was being welcomed very well. Neither she bothered about people not welcoming, other people not welcoming her, but she was very angry that Lord Shiva was not shown a great respect. And therefore, she became very angry and she began to look at her father so angrily that appeared that Daksha to be burnt away in her vision. Text 10. जगर्ह सामर्ष विपन्नया गिरा शिवद्विषं धूमपथः श्रमास्मयम् स्वतेजसा भूतगणान् समुत्थितान् निगृह्य देवी जगताभृशृण्वतः.
Translation: the followers of Lord Shiva, the ghosts, were ready to injure or kill Daksha, but Sati stopped them by her order. She was very angry and sorrowful, and in that mood she began to condemn the process of sacrificial fruitive activities and persons who are very proud of such unnecessary and troublesome sacrifices. She especially condemned her father, speaking against him in the presence of all. Purport: the process of offering sacrifices is specially meant to satisfy Vishnu, who is called Yajna Nesa, because he is the enjoyer of the fruits of all sacrifice. Bhagavad Gita 5.29 also confirms this fact. The Lord says, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam. He is the actual beneficiary of all sacrifices. Not knowing this fact, less intelligent men offer sacrifices for some material benefit. To derive personal material benefits for sense gratification is the reason persons like Daksha and his followers perform sacrifices. Such sacrifices are condemned here as a labor of love without actual profit. This is confirmed in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. One may prosecute the Vedic injunctions of offering sacrifices and other fruitive activities, but if by such activities one does not develop attraction for Vishnu, they are useless labors. One who has developed love for Vishnu must develop love and respect for Vishnu's devotees. Lord Shiva is considered the foremost personality amongst the Vaishnavas. Vaiṣṇavanam yatha Shambhuha. Thus, when Sati saw that her father was performing great sacrifices but had no respect for the greatest devotee, Lord Shiva, she was very angry. This is fitting. When Vishnu or a Vaishnava is insulted, one should be angry. Lord Chaitanya, who always preached non-violence, meekness, and humility, also became angry when Nityananda was offended by Jagai and Madhai, and he wanted to kill them. When Vishnu or a Vaishnava is blasphemed or dishonored, one should be very angry. Narottam Das Thakur said, Krodha Bhakta Dveshi Jnani. We have anger, and that anger can be great quality when directed against a person who is envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his devotee. One should not be tolerant when a person is offensive towards Vishnu or a Vaishnava. The anger of Sati towards her father was not objectionable, for although he was her father, he was trying to insult the greatest Vaishnava. Thus, Sati's anger against her father was quite applaudable. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So now Sati, the followers of Lord Shiva, they realize this being insult towards Lord Shiva, the Shiva mantras being escaped by the Brahmanas, and the ghosts were ready to injure or kill Daksha. But Sati stopped them by her order. She was very angry and sorrowful, and thus she began to condemn the process of fruitive activities and persons who are extremely proud taking such activities. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, the Lord Vishnu here is called as Yadnesha. Yadnesha means he is the master of all the yajna. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram. He is the actual beneficiary of all the sacrifices. And thus, people like Daksha, they keep on doing some sacrifice, not for the purpose of pleasing Lord Vishnu, but for the purpose of deriving some material benefit. You know, a classic example of this is some Satyanarayan Puja, right? Not always, but most of the time. People will do a small Satyanarayan Puja and will have a long list of Putram Dehi, Panam, Phalam Dehi, Saukhyam Dehi, this Dehi, that Dehi. There is a huge list of asking for a small yajna, something like that. And this is the typical nature of personalities like Daksha, where they may perform multiple sacrifice. Later we'll come in the fourth canto only. We'll come across Prachina Barhi, where his palace was blackened by the smoke of sacrifice. And Narad Muni says, look at the animals who are hovering on head. All of them you have sacrificed in the sacrifice. And they are all waiting to take revenge on you. So Narad Muni gives a very graphic explanation to this. This will come in the fourth canto later. Such people, they are not interested in the sacrifice and the purpose of sacrifice. What is the purpose of sacrifice? Bhoktaram yajna tapasam. So neither they will have love towards Lord Vishnu, and love towards Lord Vishnu can be very easily displayed by loving the devotees of the Lord. So Daksha, neither he loved Lord Vishnu, neither he loved the greatest devotee of the Lord, that is Lord Shiva, Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambho. And thus, when Sati saw that father performing so many sacrifices but has no respect for the great devotee Lord Shiva, she became very angry. And Prabhupada says Sati's anger is justified because a devotee is supposed to become angry. There is a beautiful prayer by Narottam Das Thakur, Kama Krishna Karma Arpane, Krodha Bhakta Dveshi Jane. That is, the Kama should be utilized in Krishna Karma Arpana, and Krodha Bhakta Dveshi Jane. लोभ साधु संगे हरि कथा मोह इष्ट लभ विना मद कृष्ण गुणगाने नियुक्त करिवे यथा तथा. So he says that how to engage one's propensities, these shadripus, that kama should be engaged by Krishna karma, krodha should be engaged on bhakta dveshi jane, and this is here exemplified by Sati becoming very angry at Daksha because of offending Lord Shiva. Srila Prabhupada says Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always propagated the non-violence, but he became very violent when Nityanand Prabhu was attacked by Jagai and Madhai, and he actually wanted to kill these two miscreants, Jagai and Madhai. So when a Lord Vishnu or Vaishnava is blasphemed or dishonored, one should be very angry. Like, one may be having on some typical post, but that post doesn't mean that you just utter any nonsense about Lord Vishnu. You will receive a reaction. Correct? So this is, Srila Prabhupada quotes here, Krodha Bhakta Dveshi Jane. One should not tolerate when a person is offensive towards Vishnu or Vaishnava. And thus, anger of Sati is perfectly justified. Now we continue with the third section of this chapter, text 11 to 23. Sati condemns Daksha. So these are the 13 verses where Sati is going to condemn Daksha. Text 11. Text 11. Devya Urchuhu. So Devi here is Sati Devi. Okay. न यस्य लोकेऽस्ति अतिशायिन प्रियस् तथा प्रियो देहभृतां प्रियात्मनः तस्मिन् समस्तात्मनि मुक्तवैरके ऋते भवन्तं कथं प्रतीपयेत्. Translation.
The blessed goddess said, Lord Shiva is the most beloved of all living entities. He has no rival. No one is very dear to him, and no one is his enemy. No one but you could be envious of such a universal being who is free from all enmity. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 9.29, the Lord says, So Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu. I am equal to all living entities. Similarly, Lord Shiva is a qualitative incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he has almost the same qualities as the Supreme Lord. Therefore, he is equal to everyone. No one is his enemy and no one is his friend. But one who is envious by nature can become the enemy of Lord Shiva. Therefore, Sati accused her father. No one but you could be envious of Lord Shiva or be his enemy. Other sages and learned Brahmanas were present, but they were not envious of Lord Shiva, although they were all dependent on Daksha. Therefore, no one but Daksha could be envious of Lord Shiva. That was the accusation of Sati.
Yes. So Divya Urju, Sati began to say, the blessed goddess Sati, she said, Lord Shiva is most beloved of all living entities towards Lord Vishnu. He is unparalleled. And Lord Shiva is unparalleled. One can never become Lord Shiva. One can become Brahma also by doing some tapasya and by following the regulative principles of Varnashram. But no one can ever become Lord Shiva. He is unrivaled. No one is very dear to him or no one is his enemy. Just like Paramatma, Lord Shiva is kind to everyone. No one but you could be envious of such a universal being who is free from all enmity. So, Mukta Vairake, very beautiful verse. Vritam Bhavantam Katam Pratipayeta. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that the Supreme Lord is Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu. And not only the Supreme Lord, similarly, the great devotees of the Lord, Surudam Sarva Bhutanam, they are also follow the same quality of the Supreme Lord. They are equal to everyone and they are very, very compassionate to all living entities. And therefore, Sati accused Daksha that it is only and only a lowly creature like you can be envious of such a great personality as Lord Shiva. And then she looked at other sages and the learned Brahmanas. But they were not envious of Lord Shiva, although they were afraid of Daksha and they were dependent on Daksha. And therefore, there was nobody except Daksha who was envious of Lord Shiva. And this was being pointed by Sati very well, that it is you who are envious of Lord Shiva. Otherwise, people are very happy offering oblations to Lord Shiva or glorifying Lord Shiva. But it is because of you all these things are happening. Text 12. दोषान् परेशान् हि गुणेषु साधवो गृह्णन्ति केचिन्न भवाद्विरशो द्विजः गुणांश्च फल्गुन् बहुलेष्करिष्णवो महत्तमातेषु अभिदद्भवानघम्. Translate.
Twice-born Daksha, a man like you can simply find fault in the qualities of others. Lord Shiva, however, not only finds no faults with others' qualities, but if someone has a little good quality, he magnifies it greatly. Unfortunately, you have found fault with such a great soul. Purport: King Daksha is addressed here by his daughter Sati as Dvija, twice born. Twice born refers to a higher class of men, namely the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas. In other words, Dvija is not an ordinary man, but one who has studied the Vedic literature from a spiritual master and can discriminate between good and bad. Therefore, it is supposed that he understands logic and philosophy. Sati, Daksha's daughter, put before him sound arguments. There are some highly qualified persons who accept only the good qualities of others, just as a bee is always interested in the honey in the flower and does not consider the thorns and colors. Highly qualified persons who are uncommon accept only the good qualities of others, not considering their bad qualities. Whereas the common man can judge what are good qualities and what are bad qualities. Among the uncommonly good souls, there are still gradations, and the best good soul is one who accepts an insignificant asset of a person and magnifies that good quality. Lord Shiva is also called as Ashutosha, which refers to one who is satisfied very easily and who offers to any person the highest level of benediction. For example, once a devotee of Lord Shiva wanted a benediction that whenever he touched someone on the head, that person's head would at once be separated from his trunk. Lord Shiva agreed, although the benediction asked was not very commendable because the devotee wanted to kill his enemy. Lord Shiva considered the devotee's good quality in worshipping and satisfying him and granted the benediction. Thus, Lord Shiva accepted his bad qualities as magnificently good qualities. But Sati accused her father, "You're just the opposite." Although Lord Shiva has so many good qualities and no bad qualities at all. You have accepted him as bad and found fault with him. Because of your accepting his good qualities to be bad, instead of your becoming the most exalted exalted soul, you have become the most fallen. A man becomes the great soul by accepting the goodness of others' qualities. But by unnecessarily considering others' good qualities to be bad, you have become the lowest of the fallen souls. Hare Krishna.
So now Sati, she addressed her father, O Daksha, O twice born Daksha. A man like you can simply find fault in the good qualities of others. Lord Shiva, however, he will not only ignore the bad qualities, but will pick up some small good quality and magnify the same. And unfortunately, you have offended such a great personality. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains the word Dvija there, twice born. So Sati is addressing Daksha as Dvija because he is not an ordinary personality. He is being very well trained by his guru. And who is his guru? Lord Brahma himself, right? He is the son of Lord Brahma, and he is coming from such a high parentage, but still he have shown a very meek, very, very lowly behavior by finding fault with Lord Shiva. So now Sati's argument here is that there are some personalities who are unbiased and they will see good as good and bad as bad. And they will say, oh, I see the good also in this person, I see the bad also in this person. But there are some exceptional personalities who will see only and only the good qualities. And that needs, a great character. That needs a great training. It is very uncommon that somebody will completely neglect the bad qualities and accept only the good qualities. And the topmost of such personality is Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, he will see good qualities, even Bhuta, Preta, Pishacha, all those kind of, the forbidden elements, and he will give his own association to them and make them elevated in their consciousness. So such great souls, they are definitely very rare. Srila Prabhupada says, just like the bee, honey bee, she will not consider the thorns and the color of the flower, but she will be considered with the honey that the flower is storing and will exactly go and take the honey. Similarly, the great personalities will be undeterred by the external mistakes and they will go right to the point and accept the good quality. And this is one great nature of Lord Shiva, that he can not only see, but he can greatly magnify the good qualities of people in general. Srila Prabhupada here gives example, just like Lord Shiva. Once there, and therefore, because Lord Shiva so quickly accept all these qualities, he is called as Ashitosha. Ashitosha means one who is very easily pleased. At times, even the demons may take disadvantage or misadvantage of the personality of Lord Shiva. Just like this Vrikasur, he wanted to touch somebody's head and the head will be shattered in pieces. But Lord Shiva felt very compassionate upon him and he accepted the good quality of doing some tapasya. And therefore he awarded him benediction and later himself fell in the trouble. Right. So Lord Shiva will accept some good quality at his own cost and but he will accept the good quality and give his association to all these forbidden elements. Sati says, Daksha, O Dvija, Dvija is being used here very sarcastically, that you are exactly the opposite. What is your thing? That such a great personality as Lord Shiva, you are finding only and only the bad qualities. Prabhupada makes a very beautiful statement here. A man becomes the greatest soul by accepting the goodness of others' qualities. But by unnecessarily considering others' good qualities to be bad, you have become the lowest of the fallen souls. Right. So, simply by appreciating other Vaishnavas, one can make equal level of advancement. Right? Genuinely appreciating other devotees, one can actually advance on the path of devotional service. So, next, text 13, beautiful verse, we'll recite this one. Nascharyamedat yadatstu sarvada
नाश्चर्यम् एतद् यद् असतौ सर्वदा
महद्विनिन्दा कुनुपातमात्मवादिषु
महद्विनिन्दा
महद्विनिन्दात्मवादिषु
कुनुपात्मनावदिषु
शीर्षं महापुरुषं पादपांसुभिर्
शीर्षं
शीर्षं
महापुरुषं
महापुरुषपादपांसुभिर्
निरस्ततेजसु तदेव शोभनम्
निरस्ततेजसु
निरस्ततेजसु
तदेव शोभनम्.
तदेव शोभनम्.
Translation.
It is not wonderful for persons who have accepted the transient material body as the self to engage always in deriding great souls. Such envy on the part of materialistic persons is very good because that is the way they fall down. They are diminished by the dust of the feet of great personalities. Purport: everything depends on the strength of the recipient. For example, due to the scorching sunshine, many vegetables and flowers dry up and many grow luxuriantly. Thus, it is the recipient that causes growth and dwindling. Similarly, Mahiyasham Pada Rajo Bhishekam, the dust of the lotus feet of great personalities offers all good to the recipient, but the same dust can also do harm. Those who are offenders at the lotus feet of a great personality dry up, their godly qualities diminish. A great soul may forgive offenses, but Krishna does not excuse offenses to the dust of that great soul's feet. Just as one can tolerate the scorching sunshine on one's head, but cannot tolerate the scorching sunshine on one's feet. An offender glides down more and more. Therefore, he naturally continues to commit offenses at the feet of the great soul. Offenses are generally committed by persons who falsely identify with the impermanent body. King Daksha was deeply engrossed in a misconception because he identified the body with the soul. He offended the lotus feet of Lord Shiva because he thought that his body, being the father of the body of Satī, was superior to Lord Shiva's. Generally, less intelligent men misidentify in that way, and they act in the bodily concept of life. Thus, they are subject to commit more and more offenses at the lotus feet of great souls. One who has such a concept of life is considered to be in the class of animals like cows and asses.
Sati, now she, says the beautiful words. Nascharyametat mahatsasu sarvada mahatvininda kunapatmavadishu. Sati says, it is not wonderful for the persons who have accepted the transient material body as the self to engage always in deriding other great souls. Such envy will ensure that these people very soon fall down and they diminish by the dust of the feet of the great personalities. Srila Prabhupada, he writes in the purport that everything depends on the strength of the recipient. For example, due to the scorching sunshine, some vegetables and flowers may dry up, while others may grow luxuriously well. The sunshine is same, but based on the strength of the recipient, one section of the plants they are receiving one effect, another section of the plant they are receiving another effect. Similarly, by association of Lord Shiva, even the ghosts and the bhoot pretas, they will be elevated in their consciousness. But by the same association of Lord Shiva, the envious personality like Daksha, he will be diminished to the dust by offending Lord Shiva. And Prabhupada writes here, similarly, the effect of the dust of the lotus feet of the devotees. Mahiyasam pada rajo bhishekam. Those who are offenders at the lotus feet of the great personalities, their good qualities will slowly diminish. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, we see a very beautiful example of how Ishwarapuri is serving his spiritual master, and the god brother of Ishwarapuri, Ramchandrapuri, is deriding his spiritual master Madhavendrapuri and receiving exactly two opposite results in the due course of time. Right? Why this is because although when one commits Vaiṣṇava aparat, Vaiṣṇava may forgive, but the Supreme Lord will not forgive. And Prabhupada gives example, just like one can tolerate the scorching sunshine on one's head, but one cannot tolerate the sunshine on one's barefoot. Similarly, the Lord will tolerate offense on him, but because the devotees of the Lord are situated at the lotus feet of the Lord, he will not tolerate any offense to the devotees. And therefore, one should never offend a devotee. In fact, one should always serve the devotees and take the opposite, the thing, take the advantage of the association of devotees. Like Daksha, he had such intimate relationship with Lord Śiva. Lord Śiva was like his son-in-law, like a son. And he could have derived such a great benedictions by association of Lord Śiva. But because Daksha was very deeply into the bodily consciousness, he, instead of associating with Lord Śiva, he offended Lord Śiva and thus brought his own misfortune. And this is being, precisely pointed out by Satī, that this is how what is your happening. You will be soon diminished for offending such a great personality as Lord Śiva. So we will conclude here and continue tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhupada.
Prabhupada. Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji. Thank you,
Krishna.
everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.